I closed the door after taking one last look at my sleeping 10-year-old daughter, Lily. My wife, Amy, was in the small kitchen making the morning coffee. "Kevin, don't forget you need to take Lily to the doctor today, and we need to do laundry," she said. I nodded as I slipped behind Amy in our tiny apartment kitchen and gave her neck a kiss. "Okay, Amy. I will try to get in and out of the clinic in a hurry this morning. How about I just take all your clothes and hit delete?" Amy laughed and reached around me, answering with a sarcastic voice, "I love it when you talk laundry. It gets me so hot. Don't start a conversation on rearranging the kitchen cabinets, or I'll make you my little pinky toe and screw you on the table now." I laughed and smacked her shapely behind. "You going to take the bus to work? The damn thing is always late." Amy shrugged her shoulders without turning around. "John is pretty understanding. He knows the buses in this town suck. I'm just hoping the starter on the car holds out until payday." John was John Bennett, my wife Amy's boss at Bennett Enterprises, a small family-run operation that Amy had been working at since high school. I started to put on my jacket. "No luck getting a payday advance?" Amy sighed. "No, HR said I had already maxed out that, and I hate to ask John to override them again." "Come on, Amy. John has known you since you started at the place sorting envelopes. I'm sure you can get him to cut you a break this time." Amy shook her head. "That was before John took over from his dad. You know, John is trying to fill big shoes. He's really going by the rules. Kind of acts like Moses came down with 10 commandments in one hand and the company SOP in the other hand." She sipped at her coffee. "Hell, I typed up half of the rules working there during the summer of my junior year in high school. John installed the dot matrix printer for the project back then." I shook my head. "The SOPs are written on paper by people, not carved into stone by the Almighty on a mountaintop." Amy stifled a laugh. "John is just a big nerd. Let me ask him again today." "He's been helping you since high school, when he was a nerdy kid home from college. Just wear something clingy. It will make all the blood run out of his brain." Amy swatted at me. "Oh, hush. John is not that bad, just out of his depth with trying to run the company. Besides, he already has been over backward to help us. It is not him bending over I am worried about," I said. Amy made a face while pushing me toward the door. "Go to the clinic and hurry back. I'll get Lily up, fed, and dressed before you come back." Nodding, I glanced out the window of our cramped apartment at the breaking dawn. The sky was blood red and reminded me of the old maritime saying, "Red sky at night, sailor's delight. Red sky in the morning, sailor take warning." Opening the door to leave, I looked at my watch and sighed. Today was Wednesday. I had 5 more days until my death. Walking through the slight breeze and dawn light, I pulled my jacket tighter, stopping at an intersection for the red light, and thought about an article that claimed most people in relationships can only survive 3 life-changing events in a given time period. My 3 events were coming up like waves on the beach. First was losing my job. It was a job I enjoyed and was good at. My bosses and coworkers were fine and the company was profitable. However, if you stop coming to work for whatever reason, you will be terminated. Second was the loss of our family home. It was not the greatest house in the world, but Amy and I had fixed it up and put a lot of sweat equity into it. Amy had really made the house a home with a good-sized backyard and a separate bedroom for our daughter, and it was her pride and joy. But banks become possessive if you do not pay the mortgage for months on end, and even worse if you do not pay the home equity loan. Foreclosure and repossession follow soon after, no matter if the mortgage money was needed elsewhere. The first 2 I could deal with. It was number 3 that was the big one. Our precious daughter Lily had been diagnosed with a fatal medical condition. Even worse, it was not one of the more common childhood illnesses where treatment was at least an option of hope. No, our daughter Lily had what was known as one of the orphan diseases. I will not go into detail, but basically, this meant the illness was not common enough for pharmaceutical companies to expend any research into a treatment or cure because of the low profit margin ratio. It was a miracle itself that it was even diagnosed correctly, a fluke due to her pediatrician having a fling at a medical conference with a little-known researcher from another country. Specialists were hard to find and appointments difficult to secure, which told you where all my time that used to be spent on my job went. Insurance would not cover the specialists, or what the adjusters considered experimental medications, which was just about everything. So that should tell you where all the house mortgage money went. Now the money was gone, our bank accounts bust, and we were even behind on our rent. The only thing left of any value was my old company-sponsored sizable life insurance policy, which would be canceled at month's end. Like George Bailey in the classic It's a Wonderful Life movie, I was worth more dead than alive. The dinging of the blinking walk sign broke me out of my thoughts as I looked both ways before crossing the busy intersection that our local media had called the most dangerous traffic location in the state. This is where in 5 days I would walk to my death and get money for my family. My destination was a nondescript strip mall with the required Asian food takeout joint, martial arts school, and mini-mart convenience store. Pushing open the door with its faded LW research lettering, I approached the reception desk with a sliding window and picked up the clipboard hung by the wall. The sliding frosted glass window opened, and an older lady in a white smock raised her coffee cup at me. "Morning, Kevin." She peered down at the list in front of her. "You here for the clinical trial of the hair growth, the oral drug, or toenail fungus?" I did not look up as I finished filling out the form. For the past few weeks, I had been signing up to test out various medications. It was a way to make a quick buck and allow me the time I needed to care for my daughter. "I am here for the toenail thing," I said, handing her the completed form. Marge looked over the form while downing the last of her coffee. "Okay, just want to make sure we did not get your meds mixed up and have hair growing on your balls." Cracking a smile, I asked, "How soon do we get paid?" Marge shook her head. "This isn't your first rodeo. They will mail you a check in 10 business days." She looked at a form. "You get $1,000 for this one." Marge flipped a page on a clipboard. "You want in on the seasickness study at the end of the month? You got to spend a week at sea on a boat, but it pays like $5,000. I shook my head. "Thanks, but no. I cannot be away from my daughter. I was not going to mention I would be dead by then anyway." Marge gazed sympathetically. "Sorry, I forgot about your kid. How is she doing?" I shrugged. "No change. I take her to see another specialist today. We still have hope," but I trailed off. Marge caught me off guard when she reached through the window to shake her finger in my face. "Listen here, Kevin. I was a career Navy nurse aboard the USS Sanctuary, the best goddamn hospital ship to ever float in any ocean. So here's the word. You dumbass, get your head out of your butt, because let me tell you, I saw recoveries from crap that rivaled Jesus rising from the dead. So you need to keep the faith and never give up on your little girl. Marge, settle down. Don't you know swearing is unattractive? Well, aren't you as bright as a white crayon? Screw off. I'm already ugly." Marge lowered her finger. "I hope your wife does not have your sorry attitude." I shook my head. "No, Amy is the ultimate mother. She wishes she could be a stay-at-home mom to be with Lily, but even though my job paid better, hers had the better insurance coverage. Sucky as it is, that's why she is the breadwinner and I am Mr. Mom." Marge scowled at her coffee cup before tossing it in the trash. "Kevin, you two need to keep a united front. Your daughter looks to you. Keep the faith. A good father will do anything for his daughter." I took a deep breath. Marge, I would die for my daughter. It was Sunday evening. Amy was attending to our daughter, and I was walking to our apartment, having just finished a loading job that paid cash. The signal light was against me, and I was standing at the intersection where, in less than 24 hours, my life would end. It was a pretty foolproof plan. This is the spot where heavy trucks came roaring off the interstate, and a blind curve prevented most from seeing the intersection and traffic light in time to stop if they were exceeding the speed limit. Accidents were common as the state, city, and county quarreled over the issue. One TV investigation had unearthed a memo that claimed it was cheaper to pay out the insurance claims than the cost of construction to remedy the problem. A bit of digging on the internet let me know my death would be just another fatality paid out, the amount to be determined by an actuary table and then buried in some government budget. It was a simple planned walk to this intersection during morning rush hour, when about every third semi seems to run the light and time it. So I was with the light and step into the path of a hurtling 8,000 pounds vehicle. The mounted traffic cameras, so handy and loved by the city for giving out tickets, would record my right-of-way, the speeding truck blowing through the red light, and it would all be over quick. I had established a routine of passing by this intersection for 2 weeks, and I hoped the human interest angle of a terminally ill child losing her father because of government bureaucracy would be picked up by local media and make for a quicker settlement. As the light turned green and the walk sign let me know it was safe to cross, I reflectively looked both ways before stepping off the curb. An odd thought crossed my mind. I wonder what I should have for my last meal. Opening the door to our apartment, I had decided after a great mental debate to have Fruit Loops and orange juice with wheat toast for my final meal. Not that it was what I wanted, but because that was what we had in the house. Amy was sitting on our ratty sofa in her coat. She gave me her cheek as I bent to kiss her on the lips. "Going somewhere, honey?" I asked. Amy fiddled nervously with her purse. "Kevin, there is no easy way to say this. I am divorcing you and taking Lily with me." It took my mind a few moments to register the words she had spoken. Then it was as if someone had taken all the oxygen out of the air after hitting me with a baseball bat. I staggered backward and fell heavily into one of our worn kitchen chairs. Amy drew a deep breath before continuing. "The divorce papers are on the table with the name of the attorney. I'm not asking for anything like alimony, not even for child support. I will have full custody of Lily, but you can have visitation anytime you want." Now my brain had begun to function, and I jumped out of my chair and bolted into Lily's room. It was bare with only an empty bed. I walked back and stood in front of Amy. "So you're taking a sick child away from her father, but I get to visit my own daughter as much as I want. What the hell is wrong with you?" Amy looked back down at her purse. "Look, this is best for all of us. It's not about trying to hurt you." I laughed. "Not trying to hurt me? I know you're not trying to hurt me. In fact, you're not thinking of me at all." She ignored me and stood up. "The back rent is paid up and also 3 months in advance until the end of the lease." Amy pointed to a box on the table. "There's a new starter for the car. I signed the car over to you. Also, an envelope with $600 cash is there for the utilities. What is the matter, Amy? You couldn't get your cheap boyfriend to cough up 20 pieces of silver for this cheating?" Amy flinched. "Leave John out of this. He had nothing to do with this decision." "So you and my kidnapped daughter are not staying at John's place?" Amy looked away. "Yes." She put up her hand. "It's not kidnapping. Lily thinks she's on a holiday. I had to step away before I struck Amy." "Well, then that makes it all right, because when your child is taken from you, as long as the kidnapper has a nice van and good candy, it's all okay." I started for the door, but Amy grabbed my sleeve. "She is not at John's right now, Kevin. If you go over there, you're just going to get arrested." It took every ounce of self-control not to strangle her. I gave her a look of hate, and she released my arm and stepped back. "Amy, never threaten a man who has nothing to lose." I had to take 3 buses and walk 2 miles to the legal aid clinic the next day. Even though I arrived early in the morning before it opened, it was not until late afternoon before some harried kid who looked like he was still in high school ushered me over to a corner of the office and quickly scanned through my divorce paperwork. "What is the problem?" he said, stuffing the forms back into the folder. "Your wife is paying for everything. No alimony, no child support with no attachments to current or future earnings, liberal visitation of said child to be determined, and you get the kid up to 2 months each summer. Most guys would die for a deal like this in a divorce." I was stunned at his attitude. "Yeah, and I would kill for a Nobel Peace Prize, but that's not the point. My wife kidnapped my daughter from me." The kid leaned forward and put his hand on my knee. "I'm not a parent, so I'm not going to pretend to know how you feel, but the courts do not consider this kidnapping. Your wife is not preventing you from seeing your child." He tapped the folder I was holding. "You can fight it if you have the time and money. However, the law firm on the paperwork is a pretty big outfit with lots of connections, so someone with considerable funds is bankrolling this. He leaned back. Talk to your wife. If she has an ounce of a soul, you can use the guilt to get a better deal than any court will give you because, frankly, a snowball in hell has a better chance than you in court. I threw up my hands. Nice odds. Me and God on one side versus the establishment and everything else on the other side. The attorney shrugged. I think Napoleon said God fights on the side with the most artillery, so you would be on your own. 3 days later, I was standing at my wife's boss's house, or should I say soon-to-be ex-wife's house. John answered the door. Kevin, Sarah is not here. I kept a neutral look on my face and tone of voice. Don't care about the witch. She's your problem. I'm here for my daughter. John looked panicked. Well, I don't know. How about we drop her off at your place later? I stared past him into the house. Don't live at that place no more. I know my daughter is here. Please tell Lily that her father is here. Truth be told, I had sublet my apartment to someone through Craigslist for cash and was living in my car. It may have not been practical at the moment, but if I stayed there, I saw it as selling my daughter for 3 months' rent. John kept looking around. Well, I don't know what Sarah would say. Don't care about the witch. She's your problem. I'm only here for my daughter. I pushed open the door wider behind him, but did not enter the house and shouted, Lily, it's Dad. Come on out. A moment later, my squealing daughter rushed out and jumped into my arms. Daddy, where have you been? Mommy and Daddy Jay say you were busy on a trip, and I'm going to stay here now. I took a moment to bask in the joy of holding my child before answering. Daddy Jay? I looked at John before returning to my daughter. They said that, did they? Well, look, you go get in the car and buckle your seatbelt. Lily dropped from my grip and skipped to the car. As I turned to watch her go, I felt John grip my shoulder. Kevin, I'm not sure Sarah would approve. I mean, how do I know you're going to bring her back? His grip was weak, someone used to pounding on a keyboard. I covered his hand with mine and kept my voice neutral as I spoke. I told you twice, I don't care about the witch. She's your problem. You do not know if I'm going to bring her back. I started to squeeze his hand. What did my daughter call you? His face started to lose color. Daddy J. John tried to pull his hand away. Sarah and I thought it would be less confusing for Lily. Increasing pressure on his hand, I tried to control my anger. Listen, Daddy J., that's not going to happen. You are Mr. J to my daughter. Not Daddy, not Uncle, not anything but Mr. Please tell me you understand. John's face had lost most of its color as he croaked, but what if Sarah does not agree? I smiled thinly and hissed, Again, I don't care about the witch. She's your problem. The only thing keeping you alive is my daughter. She dies, you die. Beads of sweat were breaking out on John's forehead. That's not fair. We both know she has a critical condition. I could feel the skinny bones in his hands as I applied maximum pressure. I don't care. You stole the crown, you carry the weight. My daughter dies, you die. A man with nothing to lose has nothing to lose. I let go of his hand and he pulled back, retreating to the doorway and nursing his injured paw. He spat, You're bluffing. Waving as I walked off the porch, I said, Poker rule supplement, a .44 Magnum beats 4 aces. Later that evening, I returned to drop Lily off. Amy came running out the door as I pulled into the driveway. The relief in her face as Lily got out of my car was obvious. My daughter had bags from various stores in her hands as she rushed up to Amy. Mom, Dad, and I had a great time. Look at all the stuff we got. Amy plastered a smile across her face and spoke to my daughter. That's wonderful, Lily. Why don't you go inside? Mr. John has your dinner in the microwave. Lily shook her head. Daddy and I had Dairy Queen, both hot dogs and ice cream. Amy sighed. Okay, then go put the stuff in your room and you can show it to me after I talk to your father. Lily looked at me. I pointed to the door. Go ahead, Lily. I'll call you tonight on your phone. Lily gave me a kiss and scampered up the stairs to the door. Amy waited until Lily disappeared and turned her fury on me. Where the hell have you been? I've been in a panic. You know damn well my daughter has a medical condition. Wow, I said, interrupting Amy. My daughter has a medical condition too. I pulled a small baggie out of my pocket. Here are all her test sticks, all normal. Or did you forget? I have been the primary medical caregiver for the past 5 months. Amy lost some of her steam and ran her hand through her hair. John did not know where you went and when you would be back. I had nightmares of you taking Lily to Mexico. I feigned shock. Me? Go back on my word? No, I pride myself on not being a lying witch, but a man who keeps his word. Amy's eyes flashed in anger. Did you threaten John? He is talking about a restraining order. I shrugged. I made no threats, only promises, and I am a man of my word. A restraining order assures John's demise. Amy looked at me intently. This neighborhood is heavily patrolled. A police car can be here in under 10 minutes. Again, I shrugged. A police car in 10 minutes versus a .44 caliber bullet at 1,425 feet per second. Which side of that race do you wish to be on? She recoiled. Why are you doing this? I made a pantomime of looking at an imaginary list. Well, Amy, I'm checking my sales receipt and I did not buy any of your bull. Any harm comes to us and you will never see your daughter. I shrugged once again. Amy, if you get a restraining order, I will not see her anyway. You expect to back a man into a corner and are surprised when he fights back. Amy looked shocked. You would do something like that to the mother of your child? I shook my head. I will try to make sure that is on your tombstone if you keep me from my daughter. Amy looked down at her hands. Kevin, can we just get past this? I laughed. How can I? Every time I step outside, everything I see reminds me of you. Rotting garbage in cans, dog crap on the sidewalk, stinking dead animals in the road. She put her arms around herself. Can you not just forgive and forget about this? I am neither Jesus nor do I have Alzheimer's. Now I know you are self-absorbed and full of it like used Pampers diapers. Do you want to discuss visitation that benefits our daughter or not? Because after this we will never be speaking unless it is about Lily. I needed a job and a place to live and fast. Marge, the old nurse from the testing center, was the answer to both. My boyfriend owns his own company and is always looking for help, Marge said, as she chain-lit one cigarette from the burning ember of another. You got a boyfriend? I asked. Marge gave me a dirty look. What, you think this old broad still can't rock the headboards? We've been living together and banging boots for over 15 years. You living together in sin? I teased her. What would your mother say? Marge laughed. You can ask her. Mom is 98 and has been living with her boyfriend at Century Village for the past decade. She tossed the butt of the old cigarette in the trash. My man is a retired Navy Chief Petty Officer. His company does work on tankers, cruise ships, oil rigs, and other big marine rigs when they are in dry dock, cleaning out the gray water and black water tanks. It's a shitty job, hot with 14-hour days for 10 to 12 days in a row. The pay is good with full benefits, but you live aboard the ship for the duration of the job, and most of the time you got no AC, bad food, no running water, and bunking with a buttload of smelly men. Most guys do not even last 24 hours. I shrugged. So, no expenses when on site? I asked. Marge nodded. Damn, Marge, how soon can I start? Marge pulled out her phone. Let me call him now. He has 2 ships back-to-back in a Bahama shipyard for Royal Viking Cruise Line in a few days. I know he is short 2 guys. I clapped my hands together. Great, now I just got to find a place to live. Marge waved at me. I think I can help you there too. We have a small studio above the garage. Last tenant left about 6 months ago. Fully furnished. You want it? It's yours. Just let me print up a lease. I nodded. Marge, up to now my luck has been like a bald man winning a comb, so thanks. Marge was not kidding about a shitty job. This was by far the worst job I had ever had. The protective gear and mask were uncomfortable, the hours long, food bad and intermittent, running water and cramped sleeping conditions almost unbearable. I would have quit a dozen times every day, but the pay was good, and Marge's boyfriend, the old chief petty officer, knew how to run a crew and get the most out of his people. Most of the workers were from outside the USA, but one thing they all had in common was their love of football, or soccer as I know it. Damn, guys of every nation would spend their limited hours off watching the damn sport instead of sleeping or arguing the pass percentages of one player versus another and their nation's chances in the holy grail of the World Cup. I tried but could never get into the sport. If I wanted to watch guys run around for 90 minutes and not score, I could just watch my coworkers at the bars as they tried to pick up girls. Of course, I was not doing much better with the ladies than they were. They say the best boxers abstain from sex before a match. If that was true, I was on my way to becoming the greatest boxer in history. However, the advantage of downtime between jobs allowed me to spend all my off days with my daughter, and I was saving every penny for our 2 months together this summer. I had big plans and cleared my schedule, plus checked with Lily's doctors to make sure none of our activities would affect her condition and medical facilities were close by. Then came the note. I had the car all loaded up and drove up to my ex-wife and scumsucker John's house to get my daughter and to start our adventure. I was more excited than a kid on Christmas Eve. That excitement turned to fear when I saw the envelope. Daddy was written in my daughter's tentative cursive handwriting and taped to the screen door. Dear Daddy, guess where I am going? A whole other country. Isn't that the coolest? Mom and Mr. J said we are going to spend the whole summer traveling around the entire continent and see a bunch of different countries. How awesome is that? We get to fly in the front of the plane where all the snobbish people sit and eat the good food and have as many ice cream bars as we want, and a big TV with tons of movies. Too bad you were working. It would be cool if you could be with me. Love, Lily. I was looking at the little hearts over each eye in the letter as my vision dimmed while my anger built, and I could feel the veins pulsing in my temple. A slew of curse words that would have done my chief petty boss proud erupted from my mouth, as with trembling hands I carefully put my daughter's letter back into the envelope. As expected, phone calls to the phones of Lily, Amy, and even John went straight to voicemail. In frustration, I rang one last number. Bennett Enterprises, how may I direct your call? I am trying to reach the owner, John. It is about my daughter, Lily. I am sorry. John is on an extended vacation overseas and cannot be reached. Oh, wait. Are you Amy's old husband? We all just love Lily when she comes here. What a sweet girl. You must be so excited about her trip overseas. What a great experience for her and her mother. Yes, if I were any happier, I would shit in my hands and clap. I beg your pardon? Forget it, I said, massaging my forehead. Is there any way to get in contact with them? It is pretty important. I'm afraid not, the receptionist replied. I can take a message. Oh, wait, I have a copy of a document here for you in case you called. Do you want me to fax it over to you? We do not have fax machines where I live. Really? Where do you live in the present day? Also in short supply here in this century are stone tablets and papyrus scrolls. The receptionist laughed. I know, right? But all legal documents can only be faxed or hand-delivered. Do you want me to messenger the stuff over to you? That depends. Will the messenger be using modern-day transportation or Pony Express with carrier pigeons? Again, I found myself sitting in a law office, but this time I was a paying customer with an attorney who actually practiced family law. She was a former JAG from the Navy that Marge knew, and by both her tone and attitude, she was not some young kid but a seasoned female used to giving commands and having them followed. Sorry, Kevin, but everything is in order, she said, setting the papers back on the desk in front of me. As custodial parent, your wife has the right to request changes to visitation. These papers here, she tapped on the documents, are a request for modification for this summer trip. You had 5 business days to respond, or by default, you agree to the terms set forth. I spat. I was deep in the bowels of a Blackwater tank in a ship in the Mobile, Alabama shipyard for the past week. I just got back 2 days ago and have not even been to the post office yet to pick up my mail. Willing to calm myself down, I continued. That witch knew that. I call my daughter every goddamn night before she goes to bed. Sneaky X never said a thing about this trip. The lawyer waved her hand. I take it you and your wife are not BFFs. I shook my head. We play nice around each other when my daughter is around and never, at least I never, badmouth Amy to my daughter. It is not Lily's fault her mother is a cheating, lying creature. Lily is a little girl with a medical condition. She does not need any more stress in her life. However, right now, if I was in a room with Bin Laden, Amy, and Hitler with a gun that had only 2 bullets, I would shoot my wife twice. The attorney laughed. Well, not much we can do. I can file paperwork with the court, but taking your daughter for a first-class summer jaunt around the world is hardly frowned upon by family courts." She held up my hand to cut off an objection. Yeah, I know you were not informed, but the court will see it as an honest mistake. At worst, your wife will get a slap on the wrist and a warning to communicate directly and more clearly. On the plus side, this does get the incident on the record, and if anything like this ever happens again, we will be in a stronger position. You want to start, I will need a retainer. Sure, I said, pulling out my credit card as an idea formed in my mind. It was late that night when I picked up the key from its hiding place in the backyard of Amy and John's house. I mentally thanked Lily for the information on the key location and reminded myself that kids have no privacy filters. Entering the darkened house, I knew the general layout of the house from the company's summer and Christmas parties John's parents used to have when they were alive and running the company. Moving silently up the stairs, I located the guest restroom with its simple sink and toilet. Kneeling down, my pin light found the water line leading to the toilet tank. The old water line was corroded, as I had hoped, and a simple tug opened a break with a slow but steady stream of water. Extinguishing the small light, I swiftly exited the residence. Justice may be blind, but court time and attorney billable hours are never inexpensive. I blew through a big chunk of the funds I had planned to use for my vacation with Lily. My boss already had a full crew, so I turned to Marge to see if she had any leads. Marge blew a stream of smoke at the ceiling. Kevin, one of the guys, needs some help at the convention, setting up and tearing down for 4 days. It pays $250 a day, but you gotta kick back $50 a day to the crew boss. Sign me up, Marge, I said, which is how I ended up standing in line for the concession stand, trying unsuccessfully not to stare at the girl in front of me at the concession stand. She was wearing some kind of risque Asian schoolgirl outfit and tapping away on a smartphone. Ahead of us was a large guy dressed in what looked like a bad imitation of the Jolly Green Giant from the boxes of frozen vegetables in my freezer. "Hey, Justine," the guy called out, addressing the girl ahead of me. The girl never even looked up from her phone. Justine was still tapping away on her phone. "I've been called a lot worse, Rick, like your girlfriend." If the green guy was offended, he did not show it. Pointing at the menu above the concession window, he called out, "Look, fish tacos. It reminds me of you, Justine." Justine looked up from her phone at the concession stand menu. "Too bad they do not have any baby carrots. You could relate to that better." She pointed at a picture. "They do have pizza. If it comes in 2 minutes, it will be just like a date with you." The group with the green giant howled with laughter, and he was grinning as he turned away from the window with his tray. "Nice talking to you, Justine. I better go before someone drops a house on you." Justine just waved her hand at him. "Don't forget to get a straw, Rick, because you suck." Rick returned her wave as he walked off with his group. As I was about to return to my examination of her butt, the girl turned around and addressed me. "Why do all guys think the meaning of life is their tool?" I threw up my hands. "Maybe because life is too short and so is their junk." She laughed. "Very good." Eyeing my neck badges, jeans, and T-shirt from a local animal rescue, she asked, "Who are you dressed as?" I lifted up my badge. A guy working. I am setting up booths and assisting with the convention hall." She nodded. "A man with a job. I like that. My name is Justine, and I am the manga character Hanako." Justine did a twirl to show off her outfit. "What do you think?" I nodded. "You nailed it. You look exactly like her. I am Kevin, by the way." Justine gave me a quizzical look. "You have no idea who Hanako is, do you?" I shook my head. I would not recognize Hanako if I ran over her with my car in the parking lot. Justine laughed and turned to order her food. After getting her tray, Justine pointed at an open table. "Kevin, you interest me. Please come sit over there with me when you get your food." I sat down across from her and asked, "What's up with the Jolly Green guy and you?" She rolled her eyes. "Rick, we dated a while, nothing serious. He is too much of a man-child for anyone but himself. We are still on good terms." Justine then swept her hand around the crowds passing by. So you are not into all this? You don't know anything about anime, manga, or Comic-Con? I studied her outfit. No, not really. But I guess your character is about high school age that leaves home to strike out on her own, partly because of an evil stepfather and meets a group of like-minded kids. She relates to animals better than people, right? Justine put down her fork. I thought you said you know nothing about Hanako. Pulling a paperback book from my back pocket, I held it up so she could see the title. Not much has changed since Greeks were putting on plays. There are only so many plots. An evil step-parent is common in everything from Shakespeare to Star Wars. Justine took the book from my hand and read the title out loud. Classic Tales from Ancient Greece. She gave me a look. A man who reads, has a sense of humor and a job, and likes animals. You certainly are getting all the boxes checked off. Justine returned the paperback and pointed at the faint discoloration around my ring finger. Plus, you are single, which leads to the question, why are you single? What are the chinks in your armor, your kryptonite? You will need to ask my ex-wife. I am sure she can give you chapter and verse on my failings, I said as I picked up the paperback. I have been reading books of old, the legends and the myths, the testaments to time, and the heroes and the rest, from Midas and his gold to Hercules and his gifts, but clearly I don't see myself upon that list. I pointed at some characters in the crowd. Take Spider-Man's control and Batman with his fists. Even Superman unrolls his suit before he lifts. I raised my arms. I am pretty sure I am not the kind of person that it fits. Justine leaned back in her chair, tapping the straw from her drink on her teeth before she spoke. It all depends where you want to go, how much you want to risk. She took a sip of her drink. I am not looking for somebody with superhuman gifts or some superhero myth and some fairy tale bliss. Justine put down her drink. I just want someone I can turn to, somebody I can kiss. She gestured to a man walking by with young children on his shoulder with a lady by their side, all dressed in costumes. I want something just like that. Justine pulled out a pen and wrote a number on a napkin. Think you can handle dating a girl that likes to dress in funny outfits? I grinned and punched her phone number into my phone. Well, if we go out, all my friends will help you make fun of me. Justine picked back up her drink. My alter ego is a grade school teacher, so I got the whole summer off. Where are you going to take me first? If you are prepared to let out your inner child, I have quite the adventure for you. Most of the events I had reserved for my aborted vacation with Lily were not refundable, and Justine was a great sport at filling in at events like Fairy Princess for a day, and even wore the cowgirl hat for the pony rides. After our third date at Chuck E. Cheese, Justine pulled me into her bedroom for a vacation time of my own. While the day belonged to me treating Justine, the night was mine. Nothing was off the table, and Justine was not only willing, but initiated everything. I commented on how well I enjoyed our time together, both in and out of the bedroom. After Justine had woken me up with a BJ, Justine ran her hand down my chest. Kevin, my job is to keep you happy, and you have the same task with me. As long as we are together, it is us two. You understand what I am saying? I am not some doorknob where everyone gets a turn. It is just you and me. If that is not in your wheelhouse, please just set me free. I stroked her hair. Justine, if you love someone, set them free. If they come back, it means no one liked them, so set them free again. But do not worry. You are not going anywhere. I had been having a great few weeks, but sent texts, emails, and left phone messages every day for Lily, Amy, and even that prick John. I never got a response except for the single text at the end of the summer from Amy telling me the day they would return. When I pulled into their driveway, no one was there except a bunch of construction trucks and piles of wet, moldy debris on the front lawn. I tried unsuccessfully to hide my laughter as I rang Amy's phone and left another message before pulling out and returning to my home. My attorney was right. The court took no action on my original complaint. It was noted in the file as a miscommunication to be addressed. So I was surprised by the call from my attorney on a Friday. Your wife and kid are back. They are at the Charter Arms Hotel. You can meet the Metro Police and social workers in the lobby. I am already here. I made record time getting there, and Lily answered the door at the hotel and jumped into my arms. "Daddy, I missed you so much. We had so much fun." She was talking a mile a minute when Amy came to the door. To say Amy was surprised to see the crowd at her door would be an understatement. "Kevin, what are you doing here? Who are all these people?" My attorney shoved a stack of documents at her. "This is the court agreement allowing the father of Lily to have visitation modifications. As you did not answer the modification within 5 business days as required by this state, the modification is granted." Amy was stunned. "What? Wait, what are you talking about? Our house was badly damaged by a water leak. We have been scrambling since we got back from overseas. You can't take my daughter." The harried social worker looked annoyed. "Mom, the court takes a dim view of people who ignore their orders. You were properly notified." Amy was looking frantic. "I never saw the notice." I looked past Lily, who was still hugging me and talking about the mountains she saw. "Amy, it must have been a miscommunication." "James!" Amy yelled, and John was at the door in a flash. "They are taking Lily!" John pulled out his cell phone. "Everybody just stay here. I am calling my attorney." The social worker looked at her watch, conscious of 5:00 p.m. quitting time like any good government employee. "Sir, you can call whoever you wish, but court is closed now and Monday is a holiday, so any appeals will need to wait until Tuesday. If you want your daughter returned, stay here about staying at this hotel." My attorney broke in while opening a folder full of papers and handing them out to the social worker, Amy, John, and me. "This dump they are subjecting this child to is a danger to this ill child's health. The health department's most recent report has this hotel as one of the lowest grades for sanitation, safety, and rodent infestation. It is one strike from being closed." John threw up his hands. "There is a big convention in town. Everything is booked. We will get something better next week." Amy looked at John with fire in her eyes before thrusting the paper into John's hands and running back into the hotel room. Amy was back in an instant with a gym bag that she jammed into my hands. "Get my daughter out of here now," she hissed, but then her face softened. "Please, Kevin, go. Get her away from this place. That weekend was one of the best of my life." Lily and Justine bonded in an instant and stayed up eating pizza and watching god-awful chick flicks, doing each other's hair like a grown-up version of a slumber party. It was a great weekend with 2 girls I loved. Then things got weird. I was expecting a big court battle with Amy over Lily. I knew my war chest was limited. When my lawyer called Tuesday, I was prepared for combat to the death. "Kevin, your wife has asked you to retain full guardianship and care of Lily until such time that their domicile becomes habitable again." I heard her rattle some papers. "That should be in 3 or 4 months or so. She only asks for liberal visitation based on your decision, with custody to be discussed at a future date to be determined." "Wow," I exclaimed. "Are you like a witch or something with magical powers?" She laughed through the phone. "Actually, I am a bit bummed. I worked throughout the weekend on arguments with your history as the primary medical and caregiver. The fact a retired military veteran and RN nurse was on the property, even your girlfriend being a teacher, was a plus. Adding the fact you could work from home, and I thought I had a slam dunk." Now I laughed. "Yes, my retired chief petty officer runs around like some hardest crusty character from Hollywood Central Casting, but he is a big old softy inside and got me doing logistics and planning for him. It pays a little bit less, but no more travel, and I can work from home. Okay, Kevin. Looks like the big payday I was expecting from billable hours is not going to happen. Hell, your ex even shot down the best argument I never got to use about possible mold in their house. They are going to supply a mold inspection report with the firm of your choosing doing the testing." Damn, I do not know what to say. Well, don't say anything. Just pay my bill when it comes. Then things got even weirder. Justine had been picking up and dropping off Lily on her visits from Amy because I do not have enough middle fingers to express how I feel about my ex-wife. Suddenly, they became BFFs. It started with Justine staying a while with Lily and Amy on her visits, then the 3 of them going out for a treat someplace before Justine brought Lily home. Soon, the 3 of them were shopping together, going to beauty parlors, movies, etc., like the 3 goddamn musketeers. Lily was beyond happy, but the friendship between Justine and Amy was like watching a lamb and a hyena sleeping together. You know what happens as you see it on animal TV shows all the time. You just never thought it would happen in your house, and you did not think it was a good idea. Finally, I could not take it anymore and asked Justine about it. Justine, what the hell is this BFF thing with you and Amy? What, Kevin? You think she's going to bite me? No, not bite you. More like stick a knife in your back. Leopards do not change their spots. You jealous, Kevin? Justine said with a sly grin. You can come with us tomorrow if you want. We are going to that new gym with the boxing workout. Sure, Justine, I would love to see you and then punch Amy in the face. It's not that kind of gym, Kevin. Damn, too bad because I would pay to watch that. I paused for a moment. Okay, Justine, we can all meet up at Blockbuster Video. Justine got a confused look on her face. Blockbuster Video is not even a thing anymore. Exactly, Justine, she laughed. Remember when I told you my job was to make you happy? Yes, I do. Well, Kevin, isn't Lily happy? Does that make you happy? Of course, seeing my daughter happy makes me happy, I replied. Justine had that sly grin again. So if my being friendly with your ex-wife makes your daughter happy, which makes you happy, what is the issue? Justine, you don't understand. Justine put her finger on my lips. Kevin, if my no longer seeing Amy will make you happy, I will drop her in a heartbeat. But that will just make Lily sad, and that in turn will make you unhappy. Is that what you want? I felt like Justine was having a battle of wits, and I was an unarmed opponent, so I did what every guy does when outmatched. I silently declared victory to myself, cursed, and left the room. After a year, Justine and I moved in together, and Lily started calling Justine Mommy J. Justine, Amy, and Lily continued the Three Musketeers routine, but as long as I wasn't dealing with Amy, that was just fine. But I would be lying if I said it was still comfortable for me. They were as thick as thieves, and my precious daughter had, by some miracle, gone into remission, and that was the most important thing of all. I finally asked Justine to marry me, and while I would have been happy with a trip to City Hall, Justine had her heart set on this historic site that was booked for a year in advance. So I had to suffer through endless conversations about desserts and napkin colors and God knows what else for months on end. 6 weeks before the wedding, Justine was sitting at the table going over the guest list and seating for the nth time. Lily was in the bedroom watching TV. Kevin, what would you think about inviting Amy and John? I think about them when I'm dunking my cookies in milk, holding them under until the bubbles stop. Justine laughed. Come on, Kevin, Lily is going to be a bridesmaid. Surely your love for me overcomes your dislike of them. Justine, I love you so much that if we were on a sinking ship and there was only one life jacket left, I would miss you a lot. Justine threw a pencil at me as Lily walked into the room. Daddy, Mommy J, when are we going to eat? Justine looked at her watch. Darn, I'm sorry, Lily. I lost track of time. I pulled a well-worn menu from the kitchen drawer. No worries. Let's get some Asian takeout from that place near Marge's work. Yeah, I want egg rolls, Lily yelled. I pulled out a credit card and grabbed my cell phone and pointed at Justine. If I buy, you fly. Justine frowned as she picked up her car keys but blew me a kiss as she walked out the door. An hour later, Justine was still not back with the food. Daddy, I'm hungry, Lily whined. I pulled out my phone and punched in Justine's number. I'm sure Mommy J just met some former student and is gabbing away. I'll let her know you are fainting from malnutrition. There was a knock at the front door, and you could faintly hear the ringing of Justine's phone on the other side of the door. I laughed as I walked to the door. See, Mommy J must have lost her keys and locked herself out. As I opened the door, preparing to deliver a sarcastic remark, I was stopped short by a Metro police officer with a blank face as he stood on my doorstep. In his hand was a bloody plastic bag with Justine's ringing cell phone. In an evil karmic twist worthy of any Greek tragedy, Justine was killed at the most dangerous intersection in the state by a speeding truck running a red light. It was the same place I was going to end my life what seemed like 1,000,000 years ago. The fact I had chosen the restaurant that night and sent Justine on the journey that led to her death had me almost suicidal with guilt. Thank God for Marge and the chief. They took care of all the funeral arrangements because I was a walking zombie barely able to function. I moved back into the small apartment they had above the garage, as everything in the house I bought with Justine reminded me of her and the part I had played in her death. The day after the funeral, Marge displayed the understanding and compassion Navy nursing caregivers are known for. "Kevin, get your head out of your butt." To say I was surprised when Marge stormed into the apartment, whipping open all the curtains to let in the noonday sun while tearing the sheets off my sleeping body was an understatement. "What the hell, Marge? Can't you see I am in mourning?" Marge pulled up a chair and sat in front of me. "Mourning is over. Time to join the living." I tried to pull back the bed covers. "Leave me be. I'm not some Superman. You have no idea how upset I still am." Marge would not let go of the bed sheets. "Upset? Then I will get you a cape like Superman wears and you can be super upset. Listen up, Kevin. Justine is gone and there is nothing you can do about it. But your daughter is alive and has not stopped crying since the funeral. Do something about that. Your daughter lost what she considered a second mother. The best way to get over your pain is to help someone get over theirs. Misery may love company, but no one loves people who wallow in misery." Marge let go of the bedsheet to light up a cigarette. "The best way to honor Justine's memory is to show your daughter how to deal with loss." Marge pointed at my unshaved face and rumpled clothing. "Is this really the example you want Lily to take away from this tragedy?" I sat up in bed and rubbed my face. "Marge, I wish I knew where to start." Marge handed me a list. "This is a bunch of grief counselors. Pick one and tell them you know me. Make sure you bring along Lily." Marge looked around for some place to knock off her cigarette ash. "And get in the shower. You smell like a goat." Marge was right as usual. Seeing the grief counselors allowed Lily to cope with the loss of Mommy J, and while it took me longer, I was able to not dread getting up every morning. I sold the house and moved full-time into Marge's small apartment above the garage. My needs were few, and I'd been told that because Justine and I had no legal arrangement, along with our state not recognizing cohabitation or common law arrangements, I could expect nothing from the accident. So you can imagine my surprise when 3 checks from insurance companies representing the county, state, and trucking firm arrived in the mail a year later. The amounts added up to a lottery-winning sum, but the lingering guilt I felt for my contributions to Justine's death made me hesitant to act on the windfall. Marge and the chief had no such hesitation and literally dragged me to the bank to deposit the funds and sign the paperwork in front of a notary. I put money away for Lily's college and started a scholarship for teachers at the local university. I had kept my distance from Amy and had not heard from her for about a year since Justine's funeral service. Thus I was concerned when I saw her number pop up on my phone. The screen displayed Satan, and the Darth Vader entrance music was hard to mistake. "Kevin, this is Amy. I am at Memorial Hospital. You need to come get Lily." My pulse doubled. "Is everything okay with Lily? Why are you at Memorial Hospital?" "Lily is fine, Kevin. It's just that John passed away." "John is dead?" There was a pause before Amy spoke. "He had colon cancer. The treatment was not successful. I know I'm going to hell, but that asshole John getting it in the end with cancer was just too karmic. I guess God does have a sense of humor." I bit back my comments and just replied, "Okay, I will pick up Lily at the north entrance." John was cremated and his ashes scattered at the lake. I was musing it was appropriate his final wish was to make himself a true asshole when I answered a knock at my door. A small Asian lady in medical scrubs handed me an envelope and scurried away before I could say anything. Confused, I tore open the flap and pulled out some papers. "Kevin, I hope you will read this to the end, and your hatred of me will prevent you from tossing this letter away, as I have taken great pains to have this typed up and delivered to you. The priest has left, and according to the nurses who I overheard talking in the hall, I have little time left. We all have regrets. My biggest regret is I'm going to die a thief, not just any thief, but an evil thief who used a desperate mother's love for her only child who was sick to commit my crime. Yes, I am worse than any cartoon villain, as I planned my robbery in a manner worse than any criminal thug. But karma is a witch, and now I know it is true that he who stirs up shit will end up licking the spoon. If it is no secret, I have always wanted Amy. I was taken with her the first day she started work while still in high school, while I was just barely a few years out of high school myself. This was more than just a confused college student's crush. My chance meetings and manipulations became so obvious that both my father and mother had a talk with me about it. While Dad ran the company, Mom was head of HR, and words like stalking, unwanted advances, and sexual harassment peppered the conversation. Sadly, this did not penetrate my obsession, and I doubt I will be joining them at the pearly gates in the very near future. I have rationalized away everything I have done up to now, but with my life being measured in days and hours, I can see the cold truth and lay bare just one fact. I used a child's illness to get what I wanted and satisfy my own desire to have your spouse Amy as my wife. I'm ashamed to admit I was in glee when I heard of your daughter Lily's illness. I did not see a child's pain, but only a chance to have your wife Amy as my own. Our company's insurance policy was up for renewal. I hired a medical insurance researcher to find all available options and used that opportunity to choose a plan that had limited coverage for the treatment that your ill child Lily needed. It was I who used my contact at your bank to put your house foreclosure at the top of the list, hoping to drive your family into financial despair. I did not think it would take so long, but you proved a crafty foe and resilient in the manner of obtaining money in unorthodox ways for treatment costs. I underestimated a father's love for his daughter and Amy's devotion to you. I was an impatient man and could not understand how Amy could still stay with you, despite my hints about the advantages a relationship with me could bring her daughter. Of course, in the end, a mother's love for her only child won out, as I knew it would. Still, I was surprised at Amy's sudden decision to divorce you and be with me. Another karma truth: be careful what you wish for, because while Amy was with me physically, she was never with me spiritually or mentally. Do you know she kept a burner phone and would use it to call your voicemail just to hear your voice? Amy interrogated Lily after each one of your visits like a debriefing. The odd relationship she had with your fiancé GCE was the way she vicariously lived her life with you. Who do you think paid for the law firm to get you that settlement from your fiancé's death? Amy even waited outside places you frequented just to see you walk out the doors. How do I know this? As one stalker, I know another's obsession and the lengths they will go. My fantasy lady had a fantasy man of her own. Also, to put your mind at ease, Amy never had sex with me before your separation, not even during the waiting period while the divorce went through. Not until after we were legally wed did she even grant me a kiss. Physically, we did everything a man and woman can do. I say this as a statement of fact, not to gloat, because while Amy never refused my advances, she never ever initiated, not once. Not ever did Amy enjoy sex with me. Who knows, my only experience before her was with paid escorts. This was not the married wedding scenario I had envisioned when I pictured our relationship. But what thief has the right to complain about the quality of the goods he stole? With my dying breath, I give you a gift, the gift of your daughter's life. The trip overseas was not a vacation, although that is what Lily thought it was. But it was a cover for a trip to a research clinic and a course of experimental treatment. This experimental treatment, not yet approved for humans, was facilitated by a generous donation to the research facility. When I sold my family business to a VC firm, I would like to say it was because I loved your daughter Lily as my own, but I am done lying. True, I was fond of Lily, but I was willing to give up everything I owned for a fraction of the love Amy held for you. Amy disregarded my advice to involve you in this decision. I felt you needed to know, as the treatment results had been successful only 1/3 of the time, with another 1/3 resulting in death. However, from the start of our relationship, Amy had made clear in no uncertain terms that all and any decisions about Lily's welfare were none of my concern. Lastly, in a cruel karmic twist, I now myself lack the funds for specialized treatment, not covered by the insurance plan I picked that could extend my life. So I end with the questions you must now ask yourself. Parents always say they would give up anything for their children. Can you accept your wife gave up her life with you for your daughter? Can you accept the trade of life with your wife was worth the life of your daughter? Can you forgive and pick up your life with your wife? Hate me if you will, but your daughter is alive because of the sacrifices your wife made. John Bennett. I almost ran into a U-Haul moving van as my car screeched to a halt in front of Amy's house. A for sale sign was sticking out of the lawn with a prominent bank-owned property at the top of the pole. Not even stopping to knock, I barged through the door to find Amy in a ratty sweatshirt surrounded by cardboard moving boxes. "Kevin," Amy exclaimed, her hand brushing her hair, "what are you doing here?" I thrust the letter into her hands. "What the hell is this?" Amy's face went through a whole range of emotions as I paced the floor, trying to bleed off anger-fueled energy. Finally, Amy laid the paper on a pile of moving boxes. John was not a bad man, I spat, picking up the letter. John was scum. Even he knew it. May he rot in hell. I took a step toward Amy. "Is it true?" I asked, shaking the letter in her face. Amy did not back down and stood her ground. "You want answers?" It was a statement, not a question. "I think I am entitled," I shot back. "You want answers," Amy said again, her voice raising in volume. I was almost yelling. "I want the truth." Amy got right in my face. "You can't handle the truth." I threw up my hands and turned around. "This is not a scene from the movie A Few Good Men. You are not Jack Nicholson, and I am certainly not Tom Cruise. Just answer the goddamn question." "Fine, Kevin," she said, her voice low before yelling out, "I had to stop you from killing yourself." Amy's statement was like a physical blow. I staggered back. Her words took all the wind out of my sails. "What are you talking about?" I stammered. She got a sad look on her face before moving a box off a chair to sit down. "Come on, Kevin. You did not marry a fool. I could always read you like a book. Besides, you were always sloppy on the computer, never clearing your browsing history or online searches." I muttered, leaning against the wall. Amy twisted the rag in her hands. "I am not Sherlock Holmes. If I could figure out what you were going to do, how long would it take an experienced investigator to uncover the same information and come to the same conclusion?" She looked at her hands. I was desperate. I could not lose both you and Lily. "Why did you not just say something to me?" I asked. "Would that have changed what you were going to do?" Amy replied. When I did not answer, she continued. "I thought so, Kevin." She got up and started pacing the room. "It was an impossible situation. If you went through with your actions, I would lose you. The insurance would not pay out any money. My daughter would lose her father, and I would lose my husband and my daughter." Amy turned to face me. "Even if by some miracle your death did bring in some money, you know from your own online estimates it would not have been enough to cure Lily. All your death would have done is deprive Lily of her father when she needed him most, and I would still be without you. Amy, you could have told me. We could have worked something out." She shook her head. "I could not let you live with that decision I knew had to be made. It was all on me. I was going to carry the weight. That is not how marriage works, Amy. We are supposed to be a team." She shook her head again. "Someone had to take one for the team. You were going to give your life for the good of your family. My option was less drastic. I still could not wrap my head around all this new tidal wave of information. What about the experimental treatment that could have killed our daughter? Do you not think as the father I should have a say in the welfare of my daughter?" Amy heard the anger in my voice but did not hide behind any excuses. "We both saw our daughter dying a little each day. It was only a matter of time, and time was running out." I looked away. "Amy, you know Lily was suffering. Did you want that to continue?" "I should have been involved," I shouted back. Amy shook her head. "I had already caused you enough pain. I could not bear to give you any more. This was a chance to have our daughter whole again." "Or dead," I interrupted. She shook her head again. "A drowning person will grab at the sharp point of a sword to save themselves. As a mother, I needed my daughter's pain to be over one way or the other." Amy reached out to touch me before speaking again, but I backed away. "Kevin, I did everything with us as a family in mind. Even though we were not a family in the truest sense anymore, I never stopped loving you." She brushed a tear from her eye. So many times I hurt so bad being away from you that I just wanted to crawl up on your porch and curl up and die. Well, Amy, if you get that urge again, make sure it is a Tuesday because that is the day I take out the trash. I saw her stifle a laugh. If all your longing for me is true, why not leave John and come back to me after Lily's recovery? Amy bit her lip and thought before answering. Don't think I did not consider it, but I had made my bed and now I had to sleep in it with John. I was in a prison of my own making. Sure, it was a nice jail with a decent warden, but still not where I wanted to be. Besides, I doubt you would have taken me back. And you had Justine by then. I cannot tell you how jealous I was of her, but when I saw how happy she made you and Lily, I just wanted to be a part of it. A quarter of a loaf of bread to a starving person is better than none. I looked around the room at all the boxes. I needed a break from this conversation. What is with all the boxes, the move? Amy just waved her hand at the room. The bank owns this place now. They even repoed the cars. I managed to finance a used Camry to drive. We are moving to an apartment complex near Lily's school. It is not a bad place, and Lily still has her own room. She laughed. No pool, though, and Lily is going to need to rough it next summer. Amy's face turned serious. I know I put you through a lot, but any chance you, me, and Lily could... I turned away, almost running to the door. Amy, I got to go. I will talk to you later. 3 days later, I am knocking at the door to Amy's new apartment. It had been a long 3 days. The whole time I was lost in thought, which Marge claimed was unfamiliar territory for me. Did I still have feelings for Amy? Would our being together be better for Lily? I had the money and the job with all the benefits now. Could I forgive and move on? Was there anything to forgive and move on to what? While I know Amy believed she had acted at all times with everyone's best interest in impossible circumstances, I could not shake the fear that if we got together, I may wake up one day missing a kidney because Amy had decided on a better use for it. I sought the opinion of Marge and the chief. The chief told me to stop drifting and either set sail or drop anchor. Marge was less eloquent. Grow a pair of balls and shit or get off the goddamn pot. You were never going to make a call with an empty nutsack. The opening of the door brought me back to the present. Amy was dressed in a long sweatshirt, and I could see the pile of boxes and chaos that is the bane of every move since caveman days. Kevin, would you like to come in? Lily will be ready in just a minute. Sure, Amy, but first we need to have a conversation. I took a deep breath walking through the doorway while recalling a line from a French philosopher, "One finds one's destiny on the path you take to most avoid it." Thanks for watching this intense journey of heartbreak and resilience. If you were in Kevin's shoes, would you find it in your heart to forgive Amy, or would the betrayal be too much to overcome? Let us know your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more gripping stories. Until next time.